Mm, mm. Now what? Shh. I'll mute my shit real quick. Hold up, Chad. Yeah, y'all treat me right in the morning time. Hold on, twin. Let me get right, twin. Hold on. Y'all need to in this motherfucker. Hold on. Let me get up in here. Yeah. This my second stream on the morning time. I used to stream at night though, huh? Y'all gonna make me start doing the morning shift. Well, shit, it is. We snowed in, so we ain't shit that you do. You know what I'm saying? No folks talking about come to work. You crazy? They must don't know black people like we know black people. You know what I'm saying? Well, what's going on, chat? We back with another one. You know what I'm saying? Just a little recap on the icecube shit. Tupac versus icecube, man. Well, I'm gonna show you my screen. Just damn, my shit went all the way down. Hello. I can't grab that motherfucker either. Bitch, come here. Alright, I'll try this new layout. Tupac layout. My camera supposed to be in the middle though, but I said, damn, this shit with Tupac right there in the middle though, this shit hard though. I was like, damn, I gotta put my camera to the side, bro. Damn, nah, just put my camera to the side. This shit hard. I'm gonna get everything straight, put this out there. Boom. I gotta see what it look like on the phone. So make sure y'all can see this shit. It looks straight. Y'all new to the channel, please like, subscribe. About to get started. I feel like I can't see shit, but I don't want to cover the Machiavelli up. Damn, I might make it this big. Y'all see the Machiavelli? I think y'all can see it at the bottom though. I want y'all to see it at the top too. Oh shit, fucked up. Hold on, let me adjust this shit. While you wait over there, get your dancing ass over here. That's cold up too, I'm gonna put you right here now. Up and down like a roller coaster. You too old? Alright. If y'all been seeing these lives, y'all been seeing me on cover icecube and Tupac, y'all know why I don't like icecube no more. Hold on, let me get back to my line. Why is it showing my shit delayed, bro? Like, I click on my own live, that motherfucker be delayed, but let's do it.
I read this lineup the other day with the best diss records.
Who's number one, man?
Tupac, hit him up.
Come on, man. Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
I ain't gonna lie. That boy's a hater. I ain't gonna lie. They just call spade. Icecube's a hater. We respect Vaseline, but it ain't had no impact like hit him up. I don't give a damn what nobody say. Tell what's your favorite diss song? Which one you think better? Icecube, no Vaseline, or Tupac hit him up? Which one had the bigger impact? Or which one all time diss song? Y'all let me know.
Nah, man. Sorry.
First off, touch your shit in the click you claim. West side, when we rock, come equipped with game.
He dropped called Badass. And if you listen to it, you can see he heard hit him up and it's like, oh, that's how it's supposed to be.
Bow down. Cause I ain't a hater like you. Bow down to a killer that's greater than you.
So that's a diss song? Hold on. That's a Tupac diss song? Hold on now. We ain't gonna walk past that shit like we just didn't hear that shit. Hold on, Tupac. Come on, tell me Jew. You know, I ride with the twin.
When we rock, I'm equipped with game.
He just dropped called Badass. And if you listen to it, you can see he heard hit him up and it's like, oh, that's how it's supposed to be.
Oh, yeah.
Cause I ain't a hater like you. Bow down to a killer that's greater than you.
I bow down respectfully, not bow down to them as mean or as performance, but as elders.
If you touch the nerve, he'll let you know. And, you know, he was passionate. You know, so he'll let you know.
All you old rappers trying to advance, it's all over now. Take it like a man. The West Side Connect thugs. Ain't no California love, just California slug.
Hold on. I bet y'all check out. I got a link. I should have his link in the video. Hip Hop Universe, man, really good at documentaries. Putting all this shit together. You gotta support. You gotta get. You know what I'm saying? You gotta support your people, man. I know it took a long time to do all these put all these videos together and shit. You feel me? Hip Hop Universe. He do Tupac, Mobb Deep, Nas. All y'all old heads are like the old school shit. Who shot Tupac? Jay-Z versus Big Pun, Fat Joe and shit like that.
Tupac versus Icecube, a beef that the majority of hip-hop heads didn't know existed. Two West Coast icons that became friends in the early stages of their solo careers, but grew apart on their way to the top and eventually clashed due to a misunderstanding. The first time the two met was on tour in 1990, when Tupac was a part of the group Digital Underground. He was a huge fan of Icecube, who at that point in time had left his group NWA to pursue a solo career. This was shortly after he dropped his solo debut album America's Most Wanted, which was one of Tupac's favorite albums. The two clicked instantly the moment they met, and became great friends. Pac was very humble, and Cube was very respectful, treated him like a little brother.
Now, Flav, who the fuck told you that shit was cool? I know you motherfucking lying. You do? Do a daily hip-hop documentary. You said that what you want me to do, or that what you do? Hold on, do you? I'm not saying, hold on, twin. That what y'all... Oh, I don't know much to it about feeling. I have to do that then. I gotta check that out. Appreciate you telling me that, brother.
For Cube, he was just a fun little dude with a lot of energy.
Nobody had more fun on tour than Pac. He knocking on everybody's door.
On Hennessy.
You sleep? What? Nah, no sleep. No sleep. Nah, come on, man. Get dressed, Cube. Come on, let's go downstairs. You know, he running around with all the energy in the world. You know, we sleep, but he got all the energy in the world.
They hung out, rapped on tours, and freestyled together. Cube was able to watch him grow as an artist. He was rapping and dancing on stage with Digital Underground. Nobody knew who Tupac was. He was just getting started. Pac used to tell him, "This digital ish is cool, man, but I want to do records like y'all. Cause where I live at, ish is effed up." You know what I'm saying? I want to talk about how the ish is. He wanted to stop making those funny little dance songs with his group and focus on more important stuff.
I remember him being a little frustrated, you know what I'm saying? Because he's like, Cube, I want to make the kind of records y'all make. That's what I'm on. I ain't really on this, this dancey stuff. He was just doing that just to, you know, kind of, you know,
get started,
facilitate till he can get and do his own style. So
I was like, well, keep doing your thing, you know, Shock G, he'll see, you know, that you got talent and shit in here.
Tell him that you need to fulfill yourself as an artist and not just do the, you know, the
party.
Yeah, the party shit.
Yeah.
And then I started to see him get on more digital records, and I was like, okay, Pac is starting to, you know, move up from just being, you know, in the background to actually, you know what I mean, doing some songs.
So he had that in him where he wanted to release it, and to just see him grow as an artist to become, you know, damn near like the Marvin Gaye of hip hop, like, you know.
So true.
Marvin Gaye. Oh hell nah, you niggas said Marvin Gaye. Oh, tell me maybe a little bit. I want y'all to see the Machiavelli in the background. That's what I really want to do. I don't want to make it too small. I try to put Tupac on the cross shit. They motherfucker. No disrespect, my boy Jesus. But they put Jesus back down. I was creating it. I redo it though, but it's straight. Is that too small for y'all? He need Shock G for help beats and sound. See, I don't know too much about Digital Underground. You know, I wasn't born. I mean, I was born, but I went. You know what I'm saying? So I got to find some like history on Digital Underground. And do y'all think they, you know what I'm saying, they silenced Shock G? You know, if you know, you know.
It's just an incredible journey to see.
his solo records became a lot more serious and thought-provoking.
Damn, all these damn guns.
Cube was a huge inspiration for Tupac, who had a lot of love and admiration for him. No wonder why Pac's music early on in his career, poverty, black-on-black crime, teenage pregnancy, etc. The topics were somewhat similar to what NWA addressed in their music, even though their styles were completely different. Straight Outta Compton was one of Pac's favorite albums, and so was America's Most Wanted, which introduced the world to the female rapper Yo-Yo, who appeared as a guest on the track It's a Man's World. Ice Cube took her under his wing and produced her upcoming album Make Way for the Motherlode, which dropped the following year. Tupac met her with Cube when he was performing with Digital Underground. Pac and Yo-Yo got very close and even had a relationship in the early 90s.
This motherfucker. We gotta give props to it, bro. This motherfucker was a goddamn player, bro. He nigga me with every girl. I can't keep up no more Tupac. God damn, it too many goddamn girls for me. Damn. Shit. That boy was a mad.
They went on tours together, sometimes with Cube, sometimes without, and Pac was also invited to a birthday party, shortly after the movie Boys in the Hood came out, in which Cube plays the character Darren Baker, aka Doughboy. This was Ice Cube's first movie appearance. At Yo-Yo's birthday party they took pictures together, and she even introduced Pac to her mother. Cube then dropped his sophomore album Death Certificate in 1991. And that same year, Pac released his debut album, Tupacalypse Now.
Which one better? That album? Hold on, damn, we gotta go back. That one, Tupac, what's it called? Ice Cube drop, or I still ain't listening to the album, Tupac Apocalypse. I never
his debut album, Tupacalypse Now, and starred in the movie Juice, which came out on January 17th, 1992. So they both tried to get their rapping and acting careers going, while Cube was higher in status and more respected in both fields at that point in time. The movie director John Singleton then wanted Ice Cube in his movie Poetic Justice with the pop icon Janet Jackson. Cube pressured him to give him the script to find out what the movie was about and didn't like what he was reading. So he asked him to change it, but he refused. John Singleton then decided to replace Cube with Tupac, cause they needed a rapper who was also acting. There weren't too many options back then. Cube was the more successful actor at the time, but the director was impressed by Tupac's acting skills. The movie was filmed between April 14th and July 4th of 1992.
Hold on. Which one better? Who did the better acting? Tupac and Juice, or Ice Cube and what's the movie called? I can't even think of it now. I know the damn movie, but what's it called? We played Dope, but I can't think of it right now. Y'all know. But which one was who acted better now? You said Cube's albums. I had both. Both album Tupac. Which one we hitting at that time?
Out on July 23rd, 1993. It became a cult classic and was a good look on Tupac's resume for his acting career.
Damn,
according to Cube, him stepping down from doing the movie helped Tupac to become a movie star. And the reason why he gave up on that movie was because the director refused to change one particular part in the script. The problem was me playing Tupac. I don't think I'd kick my homeboy off the car for a girl I just met when we got to Oakland. I didn't think that was cool. It kinda made the character a sucker to me. The scene Cube appears to be referring to is the one that saw Tupac's character Lucky, which is a mail carrier and aspiring rapper, attack his friend for hitting Janet Jackson's character Justice, who kicked Pac's friend in the groin because he had hit his girl in the face. Pac then beats up his homie and kicks him off the vehicle. Cube hated that character just for that scene alone. Said that the role suits Pac more than him, which could be interpreted as a jab, since Cube called that character a sucker. Why would you say that the role of a sucker suits Tupac? Pac later called himself Sucker for Love on the song Do
For Hate. Y'all already would hate him. I don't give a damn nobody say Tupac. Oh, IQ would hate him.
For Love, which was recorded in 1994 but came out posthumously. It actually landed on the album Are You Still Down, Remember Me, which dropped on November 25th, 1997. So Pac didn't really care about people like Cube making fun of him for being a quote-unquote sucker for love. The question is, why did Cube say that? Because of Pac's superior adaptation skills? Or maybe something similar to that scene happened where Pac ditched Cube for a girl when they were hanging out. Cause why else would you get that impression from him? Maybe it was about Yo-Yo.
It was.
Or a different girl.
It was.
Cause Pac started to become very popular with women. So it wouldn't surprise me if something like that had happened in real life. And if you look at the reasons why Cube didn't want to play that role, and also take a look at all the movies he did afterwards, you start to notice that he had no problem playing in kids, comedy and love movies. Cube has played a lot of roles in his acting career that made him look soft or like a sucker, so to speak. But maybe he was just a little stubborn in the early days and later learned how to adapt to different roles after getting used to acting. Cause it wouldn't make much sense for a guy like Cube, who just started acting, to reject a movie where he gets to play the lover of a superstar like Janet Jackson, who had released multiple classic albums
that... Yeah, y'all think he crazy here, that goddamn Janet Jackson. Lord him, I've been there early. I'm trying to goddamn go meet Michael Jackson and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Hello.
Give me a hell yeah.
Sold over 10 million copies each, and had another album on the way that went to sell over 14 million units. No one in their right mind would reject that kind of offer. It would have gotten him exactly where he wanted to be in his acting career. But again, maybe Cube felt a little uncomfortable playing roles that don't match his gangster image. Cause the rap world would have judged him based on the movie. The same way rap fans judge you based on your lyrical content, what you say in interviews, and how you appear in music videos and live shows. He might have thought that it could have hurt his gangster image. Meaning that people start to believe that the stories he tells in his lyrics are fake. That he's not a gangster. That he lacks authenticity and is only acting. Kinda similar to Ice-T rapping After Police, and then later playing the police in TV shows and movies.
Yeah, I ain't get that. Yeah, he let him cook, Chad, let him cook. I don't know much about Ice-T. I know he was a rapper though. He probably like a gangster rapper, but that nigga goddamn see it. Well, not CSI, but you know, Law and Order like a motherfucker.
And Ice Cube was the face of gangster rap in the late 80s and early 90s. And now all of a sudden here comes Pac and gets away with everything. Cube saw how it benefited Pac's rapping and acting career. So he saw it as a missed opportunity and started to regret his decision. John Singleton was also impressed by Pac's acting skills and delivery of emotions. His acting in the movie Juice was perfect. Cube was not on Pac's level when it came to showing vulnerability, emotion, sadness, empathy, affection and love. A love movie with a guy like Cube who feels uncomfortable to show emotions wouldn't work. He had a hard time catching up to Pac when it came to display of emotions in movies and also in music.
It was tempting to work with Janet Jackson, but I wanted to love the movies I was in. You know, I was like, this part is gonna come about. And I'm
like, Gangland? What's the movie called? Gangland? What? I ain't know it came out in 1997. I only seen it like twice. Aaliyah, appreciate you joining the channel. How you doing,
just hate this part.
I didn't do Poetic Justice, so John went and got Tupac to do it.
I'm glad Tupac did it. I think he killed it.
It was just cool to see another rapper in the game getting a shot on the big screen.
While filming the movie Poetic Justice from April 14th to July 23rd, 1992, Pac and Cube hung out together on numerous occasions. Tupac also recorded his sophomore album, which includes the song Last Words, featuring Icecube and Ice-T. There's footage of them together in the studio, hanging out and freestyling. Cube and Ice-T were sitting and relaxing while Pac was standing there like a fan almost. Cause he was super humble and saw Cube and Ice-T almost like older brothers. Cause those two were actually the ones that took West Coast hip-hop and gangster rap in general to the next level. The song they did together is extremely underrated and overlooked.
How you doing?
They all did a great job lyrically. and Pac was just getting better and better with every album.
I'm gonna get my
His
charge,
friendship
it's
with
not showing me when
Yo-Yo
y'all say,
also
hey,
turned into a love affair and relationship around that time. They were really close, and there were rumors that Cube had a problem with that. The two appeared together in the music video for Petra's song Romantic Call in 1993. Their love relationship didn't last long as Pac turned more and more into a player. He started dating all of Yo-Yo's female friends. He was very popular with women in general. Back then, he even put out a song called I Get Around in which he's bragging about his sexual conquests. So the relationship with Yo-Yo didn't last and they both decided to go their separate ways. From March 93 to May 94, Pac recorded the group album Thug Life. And then he started to record his next solo project, which was his breakthrough album Me Against the World. On July 14th, 1994, he recorded the song Dear Mama, which is widely regarded as one of his best songs. The original version.
Gotta go back, my bad.
From March 93 to May 94, Pac recorded the group album Thug Life. And then he started to record his next solo project, which was his breakthrough album Me Against the World. On July 14th, 1994, he recorded the song Dear Mama, which is widely regarded as one of his best songs. The original version contained a sample from Icecube's song It's a Man's World off his day.
Is Dear Mama all, what y'all think? Is Dear Mama all time great song by Tupac? Out of all his songs, that's the number one. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Franchise Rose, aka Franchise Live. Okay, bro, I'm gonna check it out.
Debut album America's Most Wanted, on which he was rapping back and forth with the rapper Yo-Yo. They trade bars and debate the place of women in hip-hop and in the hood. It's an even-handed debate and was definitely a groundbreaking move in the gangster rap scene, although it didn't necessarily show Cube from his compassionate, caring and tolerant side. He was still playing his gangster role and looked down on women. Kinda like how he wanted the movie Poetic Justice to be. Ice Cube's song wasn't entirely misogynistic. He actually had Yo-Yo on there to go back and forth and to counter all his arguments. He was indirectly uplifting women as well, by giving her a platform, and by making Yo-Yo stand up for all the women and defend them against a gangster like Ice Cube. Tupac used the sample to dedicate an entire song to his mother, while showing love and respect to women in general.
This is a man's world, thank you very much.
It wouldn't be a damn thing without a woman's touch.
I just wrote it down, and it came out like tears, you know. And right after I wrote it, I called my mom and I rapped it to her over the phone like live. She was like crying. I was like, "That's a hit."
Pac used Yo-Yo, who was supposed to be the voice for the women on Ice Cube's track, as a repeated sample next to his own heartfelt and uplifting lyrics, putting as much feeling and emotion into the song as possible.
Like
words that come straight.
Like all the Tupac songs, shit. I love when you got them, you know what I'm saying, on emotional stars type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like Dear Mama, got them keep your head up and shit like that. That really made me got them, you know what I'm saying? He became my motherfucking favorite artist. I love the gangster, you know what I'm saying? I love gangster Tupac. I love the other side more. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense to y'all.
From the heart and paint vivid pictures, thematizing his own insecurities, fears and emotions, even though people labeled him as a cold-blooded thug and gangster, which in most cases is closely related to toxic masculinity, something that people often criticize Cube for, saying that he's incapable of expressing love and emotion as he's stuck in his cold, one-dimensional tough guy role. Cube didn't want to be like Tupac and be a sucker for women. Pac, on the other hand, tried to make it okay for tough macho men to show themselves from their sensitive side and be a little mama's boy, so to speak, while simultaneously being a real man. And Cube didn't really like that, which again was the reason why he couldn't play the role in Poetic Justice. A lot of people have accused Ice Cube of being jealous of Tupac because of that. He not only outshined him acting-wise, but he was also becoming a threat on a rapping level. Ice Cube was becoming obsolete and the new guys were taking over, which Pac believes was one of the reasons why Cube didn't allow him to use that sample. Yo-Yo didn't appear on the final version of Dear Mama due to Cube having a problem with it. Cause the day after putting the song—
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
boy a hater. That boy was a hater. That boy was a hater. That boy was a hater. Ain't gonna lie. Ain't no way around. That boy was a hater. icecube, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, all the motherfuckers hate. Biggie, Diddy, all y'all hate.
Together, Tupac came back to the studio to listen to it on a cassette tape. And he told DJ King Assassin, the guy who did the scratches on the song, that they can't clear the sample for the yo-yo parts because Cube told the manager of his label Lenchmob Records that Pac can't use it. Tupac was devastated when he heard the news because at the time he thought that would be his breakthrough single. And now, right before putting it out and getting his career to the next level, Cube comes and pulls the brakes, sabotaging the song in the process. At least that's how Pac felt. He thought Cube ruined the classic and doesn't want to see Pac succeed. And at the time, Pac was really running out of money due to all the lawyer fees for the Ayanna Jackson assault case. He was desperately trying to create the next hit and rap himself out of financial ruin. He was super mad at Cube for doing that. Pac was under the impression that the song Dear Mama wouldn't work without that one yo-yo line, which in the original version was...
Get her ass off the damn screen. Her little motherfucker. Ooh, I just want to hit her ass. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, I can't stand that motherfucker right there.
Was used twice in the intro and 10 times in total in the hooks. So they were forced to remake the song, as the intro, outro and the hook were basically ruined. According to DJ King Assassin, it was Cube's jealousy and ego that...
Hold on, wind back, twin. Hold on, I know y'all see that like I see it. Y'all see that little baby right there? Hold on now, hold on. That motherfucker look legit like, little bit, too much like Tupac a little bit. Hold on, I know I ain't tripping.
Basically ruined. According to...
Boy, that could be goddamn Tupac, baby. Y'all, hold on, can y'all see that motherfucker? Hold on, I'm gonna zoom in. Hold on, I'm gonna zoom in real quick. Let me make that big. I know I ain't tripping. Hold on, make it big. Oh shit, I didn't mean to move that. Yeah, but... Boy, that could be his goddamn son right there. I know I ain't tripping, chat. It could be Tupac son, I ain't gonna lie. That motherfucker look just like that nigga. I ain't gonna lie. You said nah.
To DJ King Assassin, it was Cube's jealousy and ego that made him stop Pac from using that sample. Ice Cube had Yo-Yo on his label and was basically responsible for her success. So she had to stay loyal to Cube and couldn't just meet up with Tupac and work something out. And even if she could, Yo-Yo was never informed by Cube that Tupac wanted to sample her vocals. So when DJ King Assassin informed her about it, she started crying, cause her and Pac had broken up prior to that song and lost contact even though the relationship didn't end in a bad way, according to Yo-Yo herself. He wanted to include her vocals to do something sweet for her. She would have been on one of the greatest and most emotional hip-hop records of all time, on a song that's empowering women, with Yo-Yo being the quote-unquote brand new intelligent black lady, being something like a feminist almost. Yo-Yo has never stopped loving Tupac even after his death. She even came to the hospital right before he died. So yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's a real one right there.
Give me a hell yeah.
She a real one. She one of the ones.
They were really close. And according to DJ King Assassin, Tupac was enraged and super mad about it. He felt like he got stabbed in the back by a friend. Him and the DJ couldn't understand how Cube could sample everybody's songs on his albums, but didn't allow his friends to use one little line from an old song. Ice Cube heard that both the DJ and Pac were mad at him for that, and Cube then stopped talking to them. And afterwards, he also stopped producing for Yo-Yo. He was the executive producer for her first 3 albums, Make Way for the Motherlode in 1991, Black Pearl in 1992, and You Better Ask Somebody in 1993. The two ex-NWA members Dr. Dre and Cube then came together to do a reunion album called Helter Skelter, which was supposed to come out in January 95 on Death Row Records, to which Tupac was signed to in autumn 95. But they ended up scrapping the album and Cube never collaborated with Death Row again. They had already recorded their first single called Natural Born Killers, which ended up on the Murder Was the Case soundtrack. On October 20th, Tupac was invited to come to the set for the shoot of the music video and make a cameo appearance as the sniper who kills Ice Cube in the final scene. But there are no pictures or videos of them together. Only pictures you see of Tupac are outside in the dark with the video director Gary Gray. The scenes of Dre and Cube were shot in a different session inside a building, so they weren't hanging out together. They all just recorded their scenes and left. Pac was only in one little scene,
What you mean, bro?
a sniper that's all alone and pretending to aim at the cameraman. They later edited the scenes to make it look like he's shooting Ice Cube, but the two scenes were recorded in different sessions. Cube wasn't there anymore when they filmed Tupac's final scene. Suge Knight, the label boss of Death Row Records, had previously paid Tupac for the songs Pour Out a Little Liquor, Pain and Loyal to the Game, which were all on the movie soundtrack to Above the Rim, the movie Pac played in after Poetic Justice. The soundtrack came out on March 22nd, 1994 under the label Death Row Records. And the music video for Dr. Dre and Cube's Natural Born Killers came out on November 27th, 1994, just 3 days before the Quad Studio shooting in New York, in which Pac got shot 5 times. I made a video on this, which you should definitely check out. So Pac gets shot, goes to prison on abuse charges on February 7th, 1995, gets bailed out by Suge Knight on October 12th that same year, and gets signed to Death Row Records. When Tupac joined that label, and when the whole East Coast-West Coast war was going on in hip-hop, Pac was paying close attention to everything that was said during the coastal beef. He saw everyone that was sending shots at the West Coast as his enemy. And every West Coast artist dissing the East Coast, he saw as a potential teammate and ally. He took the East Coast-West Coast war very seriously, as he had become the face of it. The media had declared him and the Notorious B.I.G. as the protagonists of that beef. He didn't tolerate any disrespect towards the people on his coast. Everyone dissing Snoop, the Dog Pound.
How y'all gonna declare them one? Y'all the ones spreading shit. Boy, the media ain't shit, boy.
Dre, Death Row, his friends, or West Coast artists in general.
Oh, no, we not going deep. I know what you mean. We not going deep. Tupac, YouTube be trying to get me on that shit, bro. I did that shit last stream. They be trying to get me. I can't go that deep to it. I know what you mean.
He saw as an enemy and was ready to diss them. Ice Cube at the time had formed his own little group and was collaborating with the West Coast MCs Mac 10 and Dub C, with whom he had dropped the single West Side Slaughterhouse in 1995, on which they were responding to a rapper from Chicago called Common Sense, who in 1994 released his sophomore album Resurrection, with a
Damn, Common been out that long? I thought he came out like 2000. Ain't no Common came out in the 90s. Damn.
The lead single I Used to Love Her, which tells the story of a girl he fell in love with, which Common used as a metaphor for hip-hop. So he's metaphorically describing the evolution of hip-hop and how the genre changed over time once the West Coast took over. Common is not fond of the way hip-hop has developed once the West Coast started influencing the genre as a whole. So Common ends the song by saying that he will try to take hip-hop back to its roots, and that he wants to make it stop to be so gangsterish, violent and obscene. So of course rappers on the West Coast took offense to that, including Ice Cube and Tupac.
So Quincy Jones ran the magazine. Then his daughter was engaged to like Tupac, right? Right or wrong? And this shit all fucked up, ain't it? Yeah, she. I don't know why. Ooh, it too much.
Pac was just itching to respond, but the song I Used to Love Her was released in 1994, before Tupac started rapping the West Coast the way he did after signing to Death Row and after being released from prison. So the timing wasn't right. If it was, he would have definitely dissed Common for that song alone. even if he didn't mean it that way, like he later clarified. Somebody had to step up and defend the West Coast. That's how people felt back then. The person in charge for the West Coast, who was both lyrically top tier and also respected in the rap game, was Cube at the time. Pac saw how Cube, Mac 10 and Dub C were dissing Common in 1995, while he was in prison, on the song West Side Slaughterhouse, which was on Mac 10's self-titled album, released on June 20th. On October 12th, Pac came out of prison and a lot of people on the West Coast started reaching out to him. Basically every major artist in LA, except people like icecube, Mac 10 and Dub C. Pac always looked up to him, was inspired by him. So he was like, if I was cool with Cube right now, I would be going at Common for him. But now I'm staying out of it. Cause Pac and Cube weren't close anymore. Cube didn't write him or reach out to him while he was in prison. He also started his own movement with Westside Connection, instead of becoming part of the Death Row family. He also cancelled the collab album with Dre, so they grew apart. Pac used to call him, but he never got on the phone or called back. There was tension between the two, and Pac was trying to figure out what was wrong. It was later revealed by Gonzo, member of the group Caution, which was signed to Cube's label Lenchmark Records, who would also become an honorable member of Tupac's group Outlaws, that Cube quote-unquote crossed him, the same way he did Gonzo even though he was signed to his label. Cube used to do that to people he didn't want to work with or talk to, so he ignored him basically, and didn't want to have anything to do with Pac anymore. And Gonzo of course informed Tupac about that. Suge Knight thought of signing Icecube to the label and of more or less reviving the group NWA, but without Eazy-E, who had passed away on March 26th that year. Dre and Cube were actually dissing Eazy-E on the scrapped album Helter Skelter, but Cube and E squashed their beef in time, and the disses never came out. There were actually plans for an NWA reunion, with Cube.
Who was these two dudes right here? I don't know too much about the NWA. Who is these two? What do they do? I just know these three.
Cube and Dre coming together as the OGs of the group, and Snoop and the Dogg Pound serving as a replacement for MC Ren, Yella and Eazy-E. Cause the beef with Eazy-E's label Ruthless Records was still on. Suge wanted to profit off of that whole movement, cause NWA is what made gangster rap so popular. The whole label Death Row was built on the success of that group, but those plans failed because Cube didn't want to sign to Death Row Records. He had his own label called Lenchmark Records, and both Cube and Dre had big egos at the time. Nobody wanted to give up on their own label and movement to sign to their ex-NWA partner. Cause Cube had originally left the group NWA to start his own label, instead of signing to Eazy-E's label Ruthless Records. And giving up on Lenchmark Records to sign under Dre's label wasn't a good look for him. Even though Death Row was way bigger and way more successful, everybody wanted to be the number one. Not just number one on their label, but also number one on their coast and in hip-hop in general. Cube coming over to Death Row wouldn't benefit him, as he wouldn't be a priority within the label, cause all the other artists were bigger than him, and your music would suffer based on your hierarchy within the label.
Hold on, Dr. Dre was bigger than Dr. Dre was bigger than Ice Cube at that time? Didn't Dr. Dre write for the Ice Cube write for Dr. Dre?
Most popular artist on the label gets the best beats. Everyone else has to wait for their turn, and be happy with what they get. Cube chose to be the number one artist on Lenchmark Records, a less successful label, over being the number 4 on the more successful Death Row Records, meaning behind Dre, Snoop and Pac. When Tupac came over to Death Row, all eyes were on him, which funny enough became the title of his upcoming album. He became so popular that even Dre, the OG, got outshined. He wasn't the number one artist on the label anymore, and Suge didn't want them to work on Dre's new album until they're done using Pac's.
I thought Snoop Dogg was the number one artist on Death Row. It was Dre.
Hype at the time to their advantage. which made Dre almost feel like an intern over there. That, along with a bunch of other reasons I will touch on in a future video, made him leave his own label, cause he was the co-owner of Death Row Records. The same thing but worse would have happened to Cube. Pac was just taking over. Icecube saw that and was, I don't want to say intimidated and jealous, but it did kinda shock him. To see a guy who was once a fan of him and had been inspired by him for all these years, to outgrow him and to quote-unquote master his style, as Pac would later describe it.
Even if they came out dissing me, I could destroy them. I've mastered their styles. They could keep writing new shit, but I've mastered their styles, like the 5 Deadly Vendors. They had the 5 Deadly Vendors, right? And the teacher made one more nigga that knew all their styles. So all he had to do was get next to a nigga like that, he could destroy it.
A fan of him had become his biggest competition on the West Coast.
You're right.
Cause think about it, Dre was the biggest rapper on the West Coast at the time. But the game never ranked him above Cube, as he was the one writing lyrics for him.
My question to you, is Chronic better than Doggy Style? I never listened to Chronic or Doggy Style at that point. I never listened to none of them albums.
And he also destroyed him in that little lyrical exchange of words, which essentially led to NWA's dissolution in 1991. So Dre got humbled by Cube, and Snoop was seen as his little sidekick who was lucky to get someone like him to produce his debut album. But he was still super popular. Eazy-E had passed away, so who else was really the representative for the West Coast at the time? Cube felt like it was him. He was selling a lot of units, was lyrical, and was also doing movies. And now all of a sudden Pac is trying to take away his spot by not only surpassing Dre and making everyone else on the label sit on the reserve bench, so to speak, but also by coming for the #1 spot worldwide. Cause once his double album All Eyes on Me came out, he was outselling.
I ain't gonna lie, All Eyes on Me, that's my shit right there. Everybody in the last chat said Machiavelli better than All Eyes on Me. What y'all think? I know I got some new people in here. All Eyes on Me or Machiavelli? Which one? Y'all type that in chat. Machiavelli or All Eyes on Me? Which one is the better album?
And outshining everybody.
Good morning, brother.
So Cube definitely felt some type of way about it.
There you go.
And people to this day still criticize him for refusing to give Tupac his flowers. To him, Pac was always just a little boy, who only got so far because of OGs like him. He knows that Pac was inspired by him. Cube is a very competitive MC. He would never admit that Tupac was better or on the same level as him. Cause Pac doesn't even appear in his top 20. It would have been impossible to do an NWA reunion with Tupac and Cube in the same group. They tried bringing back the old NWA crew after Tupac had passed. They wanted Snoop to replace Eazy-E and brought back MC Ren. Only songs they were able to put out were Hello and Chin Check, recorded between 1998 and 1999. All the other songs they recorded never saw the light of day. So they once again were forced to cancel their plans of reviving NWA. The members of the group had little chemistry and were too competitive for it to work. Everyone wanted to do their own thing and be the #1 in their own lane.
Eminem can out rap all them motherfuckers. In my damn opinion, I think Eminem better than icecube, Snoop Dogg, and Dr. Dre. I don't even know who this is. Who this is right here? I don't even know who the fuck he is.
Dre had his label Aftermath and had signed Eminem. Snoop became a No Limit soldier and wanted his own label. MC Ren was past his prime and Cube wanted to do movies. So everyone just went their separate ways and they were overall just too big to do another NWA album. Everyone wanted to shine on their own without getting too close with each other. That had been the case since the NWA breakup. Their friendship suffered because of their competitiveness and their egos. And that was also the problem between Cube and Pac.
He turned to me today, I go, can you write to this? Right. Security, can I write to this? Is you crazy? I had to stop and go, Dre, you do not know how long I waited to get in this booth. And I have Dre out there going, you ready? You know what I mean? Yeah. I waited all my life for that, so straight out of Compton.
Pac was a huge NWA fan. He had always looked up to them. That's why he was excited to work with Dre. But once he got to know him, outgrew him, and once Dre left the label, it was kinda like when Cube left NWA. he was seen as a traitor. Pac had worked with Cube in the past too. And then he sabotaged his song Dear Mama. So the respect he had for people who inspired him, like Dre and Cube for example, slowly started to fade away.
I don't know about sabotage.
He had become too big of an artist to look up to people he felt were below him, especially when they did him dirty. Cause that's how Pac felt about Cube. He had a song on the album All Eyes on Me called Two of America's Most Wanted, which originally was supposed to be a Snoop Dogg song.
Oh, yeah,
the lead single to his upcoming album, The Dogfather.
I heard his album was trash. I heard his shit was trash. Somebody checked told me this shit was trash.
Again, all eyes were on Pac, so he absorbed everything Death Row had to offer at that time and used it to get himself on top. The song was supposed to be Snoop Dogg solo and called America's Most Wanted, the same as Ice Cube's classic debut album from 1990. The project was named after the debut single of that album.
Oh shit.
In Cube's song America's Most Wanted, he's rapping about a criminal life that catches up with a wanted man. Pac and Snoop did the same thing on their song. They rapped about a criminal life, them getting acquitted of murder and assault charges and fighting in court for their freedom. Cube felt like Pac and Snoop were copying him, but they were at the same time way more successful. So this was the second time now that Cube felt like Pac was biting him. First with the song Dear Mama and now with Two of America's Most Wanted. Pac didn't see it as...
How you gonna get mad? You gonna sabotage somebody's song and get mad cause they got them. You know what I'm saying? You motherfucker.
biting. One song was a dedication to his mother and the other was a collab with Snoop. Pac thought that it was the other way around, that Cube was actually stealing ideas from him. Accused him of stealing his whole swagger. The bandana, even though it seems like Cube had it first, the W hand sign, the frequent use of the phrase West Side, his war mentality, his mafioso style, and he also thought that the group West Side Connection is a ripoff of Thug Life. It's not clear if Cube stole the West Side hand sign from Pac.
No,
because on his song Enemy off the album Lethal Injection in 1993, he said that he's throwing up the W.
Now I change my style up, bodies pile up, just a trouble you throwing up the W.
Ooh, Cube fans always use this line to defend him. They also sampled that line on August 95 on the song West Up from the group Dub C and the Mad Circle, which also features Mac 10 and Ice Cube.
West C for Leon, yeah.
Going up the W, say, going up the W. Ain't no party like a West Side party, right?
This was before Pac came out of prison in October 95. Cube wasn't really known for that until Pac started doing it frequently on his shows, covers, pictures, in interviews and also in music videos. The first time Pac saw Cube throw up the W was on the cover of the May 96 issue of the Source magazine, and then later in the Bow Down music video. This was months after Pac dropped his All Eyes on Me album.
Y'all growing up, throwing the West Side, cause y'all know everybody in this motherfucker did this shit from. Who y'all got this shit from? Me personally, I got this shit from Tupac. I don't know about y'all. Like West Side, the bandana and shit, I got that shit from Tupac. I didn't get that shit from no icecube. I don't know about y'all.
With that iconic cover of him forming a W with his right hand and using his other hand to show off his Death Row necklace. And that's why Pac thought he was biting him. Cube didn't really pose like that prior to the All Eyes on Me album. Pac was also making fun of Cube for not forming the W correctly, like he does. He thought Cube was trying to imitate him. The W that everyone uses nowadays is closer to the one Pac used, hiding the thumb behind the hand so that there are only 4 fingers visible. Cube, on the other hand, never did it like Pac did. Always held his thumb close to the index finger and didn't hide it behind the hands to make it look more like a W. Both wanted to set a trend with their W signs, so that there's only one way to do it, the right way. Most people use the sign Tupac used, and he's the first person that comes to mind when thinking about the West Coast sign. Cube throwing up the W right after Tupac made it popular made it almost seem like he's trying to use the wave Tupac started for himself, after sabotaging Tupac's song Dear Mama and not reaching out to him. As for the phrase West Side, Cube used it years before Pac even came to Death Row. On the song You Know How We Do It, for example, which came out in 1993. People also accused Cube of biting Pac's war mentality. But the West Side Connection was already doing pro-West / anti-everybody type of songs before Tupac came out of prison. Like for example on the songs Faux Life and West Side Slaughterhouse on Mac 10's album, which came out in June 1995, or on the song West Up, which was on the Dub C and the Mad Circle album, released in August 1995. This whole "you better respect the West or else" type of rapping. The West Side Connection was already doing that, treating the West Coast like a gang almost, while making bold statements like hip-hop started in the West or that they rule hip-hop.
Mac 10, you know y'all rule hip hop, Ben.
Yes, got la rock, you know y'all rule hip hop, ayy. Yes, D Nice, you know y'all rule hip hop, ayy.
Mac 10, you know y'all rule hip hop, Ben. Wait a minute, that ain't how the West Coast rock. Look at hip hop started in the West. Ice Cube bailing through the East without a vest. In the East, we could be brothers, but when you come to LA, watch them loud ass colors. What's up, boo?
The East-West conflict existed since around 1991. So it wasn't something that Tupac and his label started.
That's what I'm seeing.
But they certainly were the most direct and aggressive ones. They had the biggest impact and were the most important figures of the conflict. Cube's jabs at the East Coast on West Side Slaughterhouse in 1995 didn't really leave a mark compared to Tupac's Hit 'Em Up. Tupac didn't even acknowledge.
I'm glad you confirmed it. We confirmed it in chat. Hold on. Oh, my shit stopped working. Hold on, shit. My shit stopped working. I'm still playing though.
Cube's diss record as fuel for the East-West war. He didn't think of them as generals of the war, so to speak. He thought of them as trend followers, not as leaders. People that try to use his way for success. Cause before Hit 'Em Up, none of the anti-East Coast diss records were bringing people on the West together. Cause radio hosts and rappers on the East would always make fun of the West. Intercoastal conflicts were always treated as disagreements and beefs between individuals. It wasn't marketed and promoted as a coastal beef, one coast versus the other, until Pac and Big got involved. Cube's movement wasn't big enough to accomplish that. So when Cube dropped the song Bow Down in August 96, Pac thought he was trying to ride his wave. West Side Connection wasn't as radical as Tupac and the Outlaws. They didn't really go directly at the East. What Cube made clear, however, is that nobody can disrespect the West without consequences. Like against Common Sense in A Tribe Called Quest, for example. Pac's beef was way more personal. Cube never crossed the line. They always played fair. They didn't really have underlying hatred for the East like Pac and Death Row did. Cause the people on the row saw them as their mortal enemies, like I explained in my recent video, the reason why Diddy killed Tupac. People lost their lives and...
Hold on, check. This shit will not let me play my song. I can't find it. Fuck it. I'm gonna have to do it without it.
That's why Death Row went to that extreme. Pac was ready for smoke and ready to battle anybody. If you actually do your research, you'll find out that Pac was screaming F New York on records like NY87, for example. Cube and the West Side Connection were only defending their coast. It was all friendly competition to them. But Pac, seeing them make the slightest move against the East Coast, made him think that they're trying to ride his wave.
Oh, we bet.
Between 1994 and 1995, Cube believed that his style was starting to become outdated. He began making adjustments in an attempt to regain his mainstream relevance in some shape or form. He didn't want to get left behind by the Snoops, Dre's, Parks and Bigs of the world. And a lot of people have accused him of stealing ideas from other MCs in hope that he can use them to catch up to everyone else. That's how the beef with the West Coast rap group Cypress Hill started. They accused him of stealing the hook of his song Friday from Cypress Hill's song Throw Your Set in the Air. He was facing biting accusations from all directions, not just from Tupac. Icecube was starting to get overshadowed and outsold by artists from all around the US. So Pac thought he was trying to profit off of the East Coast West Coast beef by becoming part of it, so that the magazines and the media put their names next to the protagonists of the conflict, meaning next to Tupac and Biggie. After Tupac released a song Hit 'Em Up against like a dozen rappers on the East Coast, and after slowly evolving into a mafioso rap type of artist with his alias Machiavelli the Don, Pac was under the impression that Cube tried to copy that formula by calling himself the Don of the West Coast.
Now, you ain't say, look, they got a bandana now. Come on now. This nigga.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
Everybody know who do they bandana like that. You know what I'm saying?
And by dissing other artists.
About to drop the bomb, I'm the West Coast Don. Big fish in a small pond.
Pac knew that Cube called himself the Don before he came out of prison, and before he changed his name to Machiavelli the Don. Cube started doing that right around the time Pac got incarcerated in early '95, ever since Cube got close with Dub C and Mac 10.
Well, it's the dog. Breathing out the smoke, got my whole gut is gangster. Dying at a click.
This was the same song on which West Side Connection dissed Common, so Pac knew about the existence of it, since he wanted to battle Common. But the problem Pac had with Cube wasn't him calling himself the Don, but once you claim to be the Don of a whole coast, you're indirectly implying that everyone else on that coast is lower than you in hierarchy, meaning that Cube is the #1 rapper on the West and that Tupac has to bow down even though he's the highest selling and most hyped rapper at that moment in time.
Bow down. Cause I ain't a hater like you. Bow down to a killer that's greater than you.
I bow down respectfully, not bow down to them as men or as performers, but as elders. Like, that's like if you see any old mob coming. You know what I mean? Get that nigga a table before you give me a table. Let him in before you let me in. Because I do know I'm the Don there. But I know if I'm not the Don, I want that respect. Because that to be the Don at one point means you had to have something. If they diss me, I would have dissed them.
Tupac, of course, had a problem with that. He thought first he tried to sabotage his song, got in between him and Yo-Yo, and now he tries to come at him like this, even though they're friends. While all his other friends are happy that he's finally out of prison and are reaching out to him to show love. Cube wasn't always like this, rapping the West almost like a gang, ready for confrontation, participating in intercoastal wars. That only started with West Side Connection, cause when Tim Dog dissed him and the West Coast on the song F Compton in 1991, he didn't even respond, even though it was direct and not a subliminal diss like Common's song I Used to Love Her, for example. Pac was wondering why he didn't make a song like Bow Down and rap his coast before the media blew up the whole East-West conflict due to the beef between the labels Death Row and Bad Boy. When people like Tim Dog dissed him and made fun of the West Coast, he was as quiet as a church mouse, even though he was lyrically able to respond, like he did against NWA with No Vaseline. And now all of a sudden he strikes back at everyone for only mentioning the West Coast and for sharing their opinion.
You say he ain't gangsta as he seen. That's what he basically said, Jay. He ain't gangsta as he see. The boy got scared and boy dissed that motherfucker. He ain't want no smoke with him, boy. He ain't want no smoke with him.
Without trying to diss them. After leaving his group in December '89, Cube actually collaborated with a lot of artists and producers on the East Coast. His debut album America's Most Wanted was produced by the Bomb Squad, which is a New York production team known for their work with the rap group Public Enemy. And after all those years of profiting from the East Coast, all of a sudden, without a reason that you can point to, like Pac's shooting at the Quad Studios in New York for example, Cube starts dissing the same coast that helped him to get back on his feet after leaving NWA. At least that's how Pac saw it. Cube wasn't directly dissing the East, he was just defending the West Coast. They were directly dissing A Tribe Called Quest on the song Cross Him Out and Put a K.
I know Q-Tip. I don't know who these dudes. I know Q-Tip. That motherfucker can rap like a motherfucker. I don't think Q can fuck Q-Tip. Am I right, Trap? Wrong? Right? Let me know. I know Q-Tip. I don't know the other two. The other three, but I know he can't out-rap no goddamn Q-Tip.
Came out after Tupac died. And the song Bow Down was more of a anti-everyone type of song. Unlike Hit 'Em Up, which was mainly anti-East Coast. Bow Down was more of a catchy West Coast anthem, and not really a diss song. It was just weird for Pac to see Cube on the cover of the Source magazine putting up the W, and then to hear Bow Down, a pro-West, anti-everyone type of song, with his homies supporting him just like the Outlaws supported Pac, that same summer Hit 'Em Up came out. Cube was battling Cypress Hill, Common, A Tribe Called Quest, everyone who tried to diss the West Coast. So just like Pac, Cube was in war mode. It felt like he was planning to battle everybody. And that's what got Pac confused, since he was the one that was portrayed as the guy who stepped up to battle everyone, take on a whole coast on his own. You could get the impression that one is trying to mimic the other. Not only that, but Pac was also convinced that the song Bow Down was a rehash or at least inspired by his song Hit 'Em Up. But Mac 10 from West Side Connection denied it, saying that they were quote-unquote too into what they were doing and didn't even care about what Hit 'Em Up or any other record sounded like. Bow Down came out in August 96, Hit 'Em Up on June 4th. So on the surface it looks like West Side Connection copied them. But Bow Down was recorded in 1995. You could make the argument that it was still possible for them to copy Hit 'Em Up, since the original version was recorded on October 31st, 1995.
Hit 'Em Up. They got a bootleg release. Oh yeah, I forgot there's two versions of Hit 'Em Up. How Do You Want It? Song by Tupac featuring the Outlaws. Released June 1996. Oh, recorded October 31st, 1995.
Assuming that Cube heard the original version and then recorded Bow Down.
You going to work,
but
Dave?
they had no contact and went in the studio together. And they were defending the West Coast before Pac came out of prison. So Cube did not bite Hit 'Em Up like Pac claims.
All you suckers wanna diss the Pacific, but you busted never get specific. But if you living on the west side of your town, make them other fools bow down.
Pac thought Cube was trying to take some of his shine during the whole East-West beef, as he was viewed as the face of the West Coast at the time. And now, all of a sudden, we have Cube calling himself the West Coast Don, who's quote-unquote running everything west to Mississippi. Tupac had just recorded his Machiavelli the Don Illuminati album. The Don was written on the album cover, so he thought people might start accusing him of biting Cube and the whole Don thing. Cause Cube had used it before him, but not as frequently. Just like the whole thing about the West Side sign and also the bandana.
IQ. Come on. I ain't call you no damn Dunn. Ice Cube Dunn don't even sound right. Tupac Dunn sound way better than Ice Cube Dunn. You know what I'm saying?
Tupac wanted the Don title for himself. Just like the word thug, outlaw, MOB, and all the other words that people connect with Tupac. He wanted everybody to think about him when using the word Don, or when using the word thug life. He actually started beefing with people for using his terms. Like for example when Nas used the word thug. Pac called him out on that on the original version of the song When Thugs Cry. Not only that, but he also called him out for rapping about getting shot.
He just rapping about my motherfucking life. I'm talking fake ass motherfucker. He talking about he got shot, left the hospital saying that. When? What month? What motherfucking month? I'm talking about catting and shooting.
The reason why I'm mentioning this is because Tupac was a little sensitive when it came to people rapping about topics that he himself addressed in his lyrics. Biting was frowned upon back in the day. Just using the same words was enough reason for Tupac to go at you. Especially when that word or phrase describes Tupac or his life. Like Thug, Don, West Side, MOB, Outlaws, Thug Life, shot 5 times, left the hospital the same day. Pac was paying close attention to that. He was also mad at Bone Thugs and Harmony, for example, because they had the word thug in their name. But they actually showed love to Pac, and that's why they were cool.
We love Bone Thugs Harmony. I love Bone Thugs Harmony. But I gotta ask y'all a question real quick. Bone Thugs Harmony with Biggie versus Bone Thugs Harmony with Tupac. Which one was the better song? You said Tupac.
They made a song together called Thug Love. But Cube wasn't showing Pac love, and that's why he got mad for calling himself the West Coast Don. Even if you had used the word before him, you had to show love. Pac had a huge ego. That's why he thought Bow Down was aimed at him. Cube did indeed want Pac to humble himself. Not only that, but there's also a scene in the beginning of the music video.
Oh, hell nah.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell. Well, you a grown head man, but I ain't kissing no damn man hand. Hell no. That boy got them perfect lips on him. He got the thing poked out. Got that over here, that boy. Well, your family found out, but I know they got on his ass.
Where you can see a guy who looks just like Tupac in the early days before he started wearing the bandana, meaning before 1993. Cause Cube felt like Pac was inferior to him and got a style and the look with the bandana from him. Cause Cube started wearing bandanas in autumn 92, around the time he released his album The Predator. You can see him wear it on the album cover and also in the music videos for the songs Wicked, It Was a Good Day and Check Yourself. And the earliest pictures of Tupac wearing a bandana were made in May 93. And the first music video where he wore it was on Papa's Song, which came out in 1994. But Tupac made that look with the bandana iconic. When seeing a bandana, the first person that comes to mind is Tupac. And his most iconic pictures are with bandanas.
Yeah, Chad, after the documentary, we're gonna try to. They got an interview with one of the Outlaws. I think I forgot the name. Start with a D. I can't remember his name. Damn, what's his name? Don't. Damn, I forgot his name. Y'all know what I mean. He from the Outlaw. His name started D. The light skinned bald dude. But he got interviews. I need to check his interviews out. See what he say.
Cube didn't wear them as frequently as Pac. Most hip-hop fans actually think that Pac started wearing those before him. The person depicted in the music video of Bow Down is definitely supposed to be Tupac from the Poetic Justice era, before he signed to Death Row and represented the West Coast. This was further proof for Tupac that he was taking shots at him, cause in the video he's bowing down while kissing Cube's ring to give him respect and reverence, while accepting that he's below him in hierarchy. That Cube is on top, the king and the boss, the Don of the West Coast, while Pac is just one of the people in the audience who admires and looks up to him. Someone who doesn't stand out from the masses in contrast to Cube. And Pac during that time was claiming the crown and the position for the #1 spot, not just on the West Coast but worldwide for himself. On Hit 'Em Up, Pac wasn't just dissing the East Coast, but he was also making it seem like he is in charge of the West Coast, indirectly telling people on the West to holler at him, to bow down, show respect and love. And now Cube is coming out with a song called Bow Down.
Show that damn scene one more goddamn time.
Oh my God!
With a video that seems to be a direct response to Hit 'Em Up, showing Pac that he is the one that has to bow down and show respect. Cause Machiavelli the Don ain't the Don of the West Coast. The real Don is icecube.
Allow me to introduce Machiavelli the Dawn, lyrics like the Holy Quran. About to drop the bomb, I'm the West Coast Don. Big fish.
Nah, fuck that. We gotta go there. Hold on there.
Allow me to introduce Machiavelli the Dawn, lyrics like the Holy Quran.
Y'all hear what that motherfucker said? Oh my God, y'all hear what he said though.
With a video that seems ain't the Dawn of the West Coast.
Y'all hear what that nigga
the
said
real
on
Dawn
that
is icecube.
Allow me to introduce Machiavelli the Dawn, lyrics like the Holy
I don't know the Holy Quran mean, but I know it's something spiritual.
It was really bad timing, cause the whole time Pac was waiting for Cube to reach out to him. He found it strange how he never showed him love or paid him a visit ever since he came out of prison. He was expecting him to call him and to holler at him, while Cube had no interest in doing so. He was actually expecting Pac to step to him, as he is the OG, the guy Pac used to admire this whole time. Why am I supposed to reach out to that little guy? He's a fan of me. And that's why in the video, the actor that's supposed to depict Tupac ain't dressed like he was dressing while he was on Death Row. The fake Pac was dressed like back in the day when he was still a little humble dude looking up to Cube, who was just trying to get his rapping and acting career going. That's how Cube remembered him, as a young cat who would ask Cube for favors. Like when
Hold on. This motherfucker right here so damn fake. Hold on. Her hair is fake hair. Where she at? I just seen her hair. Hold on. What her name is? Yeah, we're gonna get on her head right though. She was with the killers in the car too, who killed Tupac. Motherfucker. I can't. Is it Foxy Brown? Foster Brown, we gonna get on your head. Foster Brown. Get on your head, Foster.
Cats would ask Cube for favors.
Your partner is.
Like when they did the song Last Words together for Tupac's sophomore album. Back then he was super respectful and humble. But Cube felt like Pac had become arrogant and ungrateful. The whole reason why he stopped talking to him.
Damn.
After finding out that Pac is mad about not being allowed to use a sample for Dear Mama. Their egos and pride made it impossible for them to work things out. That's why you never saw a Tupac and icecube collaboration ever again. Cube became too competitive to work together with people that are on his level.
You say I'm on Pop Nuts?
Or even bigger than him in terms of success and status in the game. The people you saw Cube collaborating with at that point in time had a lower recognition value than him. He wanted to stand out. He preferred to create his own little group instead of working together with Death Row or Aftermath and reviving NWA. NWA could have once again revolutionized hip-hop forever. It was a powerful movement, but he purposefully chose rappers that can work under him and don't expect a large share of the profits they make, since Ice Cube is a superstar. Mac 10 and Dub C had a lower recognition value, so he could stick out on all his records and music videos while trying to become the face of West Coast hip-hop. He also got the Bloods and the Crips behind him with Mac 10 and Dub C on his team. Another reason why Cube stayed away from Tupac and also from Death Row is because they signed Tupac. He thought they were trying to more or less replace him. Since the Helter Skelter album with Dre didn't work out, and Cube didn't end up getting signed to Death Row, they signed Tupac instead as a replacement, and wanted to create their own little NWA 2.0, but without Cube, replaced just like for the movie Poetic Justice. The two are actually quite similar in style due to Cube being such a big inspiration for him in the early days, and that's the reason why they ended up clashing. Two rapper-turned-actors that are super lyrical, that are throwing up the W, and are defending the West.
What you mean, most paid? What you mean? You said fast is fast. What you mean by that?
West Coast against rappers from all around the US. Cube thought Pac was just trying to create drama out of nowhere to get everybody's attention, by dissing the whole industry and becoming the headline of all the magazines. He thought Pac was just lying and trading.
If you think I'm on Tupac Nut, nah, I'm on that, but I fuck with people that real. You feel me? I'm one of them type of one. Alright, but you on some real shit, I fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm a rap with you. I'm just that type of person.
False narratives to show the world that Cube is the one who's trying to start a beef, so that he has an excuse to diss him out of nowhere, bullying the industry while he's the most hyped rapper in the world. Desperately trying to find a way to destroy his competition, even though there's enough room for everybody to coexist. And to summarize Pac's thoughts, he was under the impression that Cube was trying to use the whole East-West conflict that the label Death Row reignited to his advantage, while for the first time ever claiming the title King of the West Coast for himself, indirectly implying that he's better than Pac. He felt like Cube was trying to use his formula and steal his shine and hype, after seeing that Pac's approach of making music resulted in higher record sales. Thought that Cube wanted a piece of the pie without actually showing love and giving props to the people who baked it, so to speak. The ones that were actually the protagonists of the Coastal War, meaning Pac, Suge, Snoop, Dre, and the people from Death Row in general. He actually thought that Cube made his own version of Hit 'Em Up, was afraid that other artists on the West would do the same, and create their own versions of Hit 'Em Up. Pac wanted to prevent people from riding his wave and stealing his shine. This is my lane. Nobody riding this wave except me and my team. That was Pac's whole point.
I dig Ice Cube. I looked up to him. But because I looked up to him and I studied his style, mastered his shit, I know what he's doing is wrong. He's a shit selling, so now he's going on the water shit, and he's using us as the gas. He just dropped this shit called Batman. And if you listen to it, you can see he heard Hit 'Em Up. And it's like,
was I born with Tupac? I was.
Why he wasn't making him bow down when I was in jail? That's what I mean. That's wrong. 91, and that's wrong. And I'm not going to let that happen, because then that would make me obsolete. If I let him come back and take, you can't have this. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that.
The interview took place on August 24th, 1996, just 2 weeks before he got shot in Las Vegas. He didn't have the chance to speak to Cube again. who on the other hand didn't find out about Pac's comments until years later. Pac recorded less than a dozen songs after doing this interview. And even though diss records were recorded in those last 2 weeks, none of them addressed Cube or contained subliminal disses against him. He might have wanted to sit back and watch him make his next move, to see if they were really true.
At this damn point. Sound like y'all mad. Niggas be coming here saying some weird shit.
Trying to come at him, jack his style, steal his shine, and to find out if Cube really had some type of problem with him. After meeting Nas at the '96 MTV Music Awards on September 4th, Pac told Suge that he wanted to take out some of the disses aimed at Nas and replace them with lines against somebody else who deserved them. Unfortunately, Pac never had a chance to edit the album, as he got shot in Vegas just 3 days later. I broke this down in one of my videos, make sure to check it out. It was rumored that he wanted to unleash multiple diss tracks aimed at Cube. He was going to shift all his attention away from Biggie and put it towards Cube, until enough damage is done to move on to a different artist. He wanted to crush Cube's plans and his whole West Side connection, to make sure that everybody on the West and on the East knows who's in charge. He had already damaged Biggie, the #1 rapper on the East, and that's why he wasn't the main focus on the Machiavelli album. Now it was time for Cube, the quote-unquote West Coast Don. He was waiting for his next move. The West Side Connection album Bow Down was just about to drop. Actually came out on October 22nd, a month after Tupac's death. He wanted to see what they had to say and counter it with not only better music, but also with harder disses. Unfortunately, the shooting in Vegas ruined those plans, and we never got to see how their beef would have turned out. Before he passed, Pac went and told his crew, the Outlaws, about his issues with Cube, and explained them that they were coming for him on the song Bow Down. So the Outlaws were prepared to continue their war against Cube and the West Side Connection, held a grudge against him even after Pac passed. On November 20th, just 2 months after Tupac's death, Cube came to Washington DC and did an interview on BET Teen Summit, in which he criticized Tupac when asked about the East Coast West Coast war. He said that no matter how rich
like Pop, bro. Ain't no way in here. That boy was influenced.
Or broke you are, you can't just do anything you wanna do, cause sometimes it catches up to you. Cube thought that Pac went too far with his diss song Hit 'Em Up, that he shouldn't have talked about Biggie's wife. He should have focused on Biggie instead. He also said that his death should be a lesson for all of us. Icecube and Mac 10 sent a strong message to the music industry and hip-hop fans and said that it was time for a ceasefire in the East Coast West Coast hip-hop wars, even though they were participating in it on their album. Cube used Tupac as a cautionary tale of what could happen if beef was taken too far. He did this in numerous interviews. Cube was then accused of being a hypocrite and of stealing Tupac's ad-lib on the song Bomb First from the Don Illuminati 7 Day Theory album, which was released on November 5th that year. Icecube took that and used it on the song We Clubbin' in 1997. And
oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy.
Everybody big Pop, bro. Jay-Z, Biggie, Ice Cube, Dre, Snoop Dogg. God damn.
And from that point on, he used it on almost every single one of his albums. It became Cube's most iconic ad-lib ever, even though he got it from Tupac. Napoleon from the Outlaws continued the beef even after Pac passed. In 1999, he was invited by the producer One Eye to come do a song with Cube, to bury the hatchet, so to speak. One Eye ended up producing several tracks on the album War and Peace Volume 2. The Peace Disc. The one that Napoleon was supposed to rap on was the lead single You Can Do It, which became one of the hits on the album. The producer was cool with both, Cube and Napoleon, was creating beats for them. When working on Cube's new album, he offered Napoleon to come over and to get on one of the tracks.
Now I know his name. I forgot he got interviews, Napoleon interviews. I don't know if y'all seen it. Is it good? If y'all seen the Napoleon interviews? Y'all let me know. I want to look at this shit next.
So he went to the studio and started drinking. Then he thought back and remembered how Tupac was bothered by the song Bow Down, and how he called himself the West Coast Don, shortly after Pac called himself Machiavelli the Don on his album All Eyes on Me. Again, Cube was calling himself the Don ever since they formed Westside Connection, which was in 1995 before Tupac came out of prison and created his alias Machiavelli the Don. But calling yourself the Don of the West Coast instead of just the Don made it seem like he was putting himself above Pac. So Napoleon started to get upset, wanted to know why Cube and Pac were beefing, and why Cube was trying to diss him. He was super loyal and didn't even think about the consequences, that him confronting Cube would negatively affect his career by losing the chance of being on a track with him. Cause Cube was one of Napoleon's favorite rappers growing up, and was selling more units than the Outlaws could sell on their own, meaning without Pac. Just like Tupac, he originally had a lot of love and admiration for him. But when they met, Napoleon approached him and asked him if he dissed Tupac. "Yo, Cube, man, let me holler at you. On this song you said that you're the West Coast Don, man. Was you trying to talk about Pac? Man, it looked like you was dissing Pac, man. Was you dissing Pac?" His tone was kinda harsh and serious. Cube was shocked. Thought they just invited him as a guest to come do a song with him, and now he's picking a fight out of nowhere. Napoleon was hot-headed, and it seemed like he was verbally attacking Cube, who then said, "Nah, I wasn't talking about Tupac," and then walked out the room. Napoleon waited for like a half an hour to 40 minutes, and Cube didn't come back. So he just left without finishing the song. The next day, the producer One Eye called him and was upset, asking Napoleon, "What did you say to Cube, man?" And Napoleon responded, "Nah, I just asked him if he was dissing Pac." One Eye then said, "Man, you messed up a chance of you being on a song with Icecube." But Napoleon's sense of loyalty prevented him to just forget about their past and do songs with people who were dissing Pac.
So y'all think he's wrong doing that? Y'all think he's wrong for doing all that? For telling Ice Cube that shit? Y'all think he's wrong or right for that shit?
Of Pac's soldiers, he couldn't allow anyone to take shots at his general, and he didn't want to switch sides either. Just because the general is gone now doesn't mean that he can just join the enemy, meaning Cube. Cause they were still unsure if Cube was an enemy or not. It was all subliminal, so nobody was 100% sure. Napoleon lost his chance of getting on a song with him, and was instead replaced by Westside Connection member Mac 10. Not only that, but Cube also added a subliminal diss to one of the songs he recorded around that time called Let It Rain, which is a Westside Connection song that came out in 1999. Cube ends his verse by rapping, "Ain't no California love, just California slugs," referencing Tupac's classic comeback single California Love.
Yeah, yeah. The West Side Connect thugs. Ain't no California love, just California slug.
A lot of people, including Napoleon from the Outlaws, took it as a shot at Tupac, after Napoleon had disrespected him in the studio. This was shortly after that incident, and there was more to it. The album War and Peace Volume 2 contains 2 more songs produced by One Eye. One is called Roll All Day, and the other Waitin' to Hate, which contains a sample of the lines "Ain't no California love," which he rapped on the song Let It Rain. The line was repeated in the intro and throughout the song.
Ain't no California love.
Why would he all of a sudden rap "Ain't no California love" after meeting up?
You know what I'm saying? You need to be doing. They copy motherfuckers. They want to sneak this when nigga die and shit. Like, yeah, nigga, I can't respect that shit.
Napoleon.
You know what I'm saying?
Was it really just coincidence? I mean, he did it twice in a row in the same year they
Y'all
met.
couldn't go neck to neck
It
with that
does
motherfucker.
seem like a little subliminal jab. And on just like all the other songs on the album, he called himself the Don. It also seemed like he's taking shots at Napoleon. In the outro, he tells us who this song is dedicated to.
This is dedicated to them haters who ain't gonna kill nothing and who ain't gonna let nothing die.
Napoleon didn't let the past be the past, didn't want to put the beef to rest, and didn't let it die. The song was also produced by the same guy that made the beat for the song Napoleon was supposed to rap on. On the same album, there's also a song called You Ain't Got to Lie to Kick It. Pac had a song titled Lie to Kick It, with the same phrase You Ain't Got to Lie to Kick It as the hook, which was on his posthumous album Are You Still Down, Remember Me from 1997. The song itself was originally recorded in 1993.
And he be talking about Cube killing me. He talking about you ain't gonna kill shit. You ain't gonna kill shit either. Nigga came in your face and asked you what's up. You walked out the room. What the fuck?
Oh my God!
Back when Cube and Pac were still close. On Cube's version, he once again calls himself the Don, and even mentions Tupac by name.
Why you bullshit? I'm hard hitting like Tupac. I keep spitting till my heart stops.
People often criticize Cube for not showing love to Tupac in his interviews and for more or less treating him like a little boy who didn't stand out as a rapper. Pac never appeared in any of Cube's top lists. When you see him name his favorite rappers, like his recent top 15 for example,
that's a lot of rappers.
Pac ain't even on the list. He named artists like
OG rappers. OG rapper, they be naming their top 5 and type shit. They don't never put Pac up there. That would be piss me off. Like, motherfucker. Especially motherfucker from New York. Like, motherfucker, hell nah, nigga. I know you gonna rep your city, but goddamn now. Pac need to be in like lead top 10. You know what I'm saying?
Melly Mel, KRS-One, Chuck D, Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas.
Snoop Dogg? Oh, hell no. I see Ice-T. I don't know too much about Ice-T. Ooh. Melly Mel, I don't know what it is. Notorious B.I.G. hell no. Jay-Z, hell no. Nas, yeah, I see Nas in there.
Rascas, Eminem, Lil Wayne, Black Thought, Slick Rick, Rakim, and he puts himself on that list as well. Pac never appears in any of his lists.
So you put Eminem and Lil Wayne before Tupac? That boy was a hater. Hey, they did, boy.
Even though the two had history, a rivalry, and a friendship together. He loves to give props to his OGs, the people who inspired him, which is completely understandable. MCs like Melly Mel, Chuck D, KRS-One, Rakim, Slick Rick, and Ice-T are the ones who, according to Cube, inspired him and helped him to create his own style. But then he also named people who came out after him. So the argument that Cube only named rappers that came before him and purposefully left out MCs from the newer generation is invalid. He even added Rascas, Eminem, and Wayne, and also Snoop Dogg, which is an interesting pick. What he also did is voice his opinion on lists where Tupac is ranked above him, in terms of best diss tracks, for example. He thinks that his diss track No Vaseline is superior to Pac's Hit 'Em Up,
fuck no,
as he didn't need the help and support from his homies to destroy his opponent, which was the group NWA at the time, which consisted of Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, MC Ren, and DJ Yella.
How's Tupac #1 when
Hello,
he needed help
doing?
on that record? No Vaseline, one MC, took out 4 again, and the manager. Group was over.
So Cube disagrees with people saying that Hit 'Em Up was the harder diss record, and he wants his props for single-handedly ending the group NWA. I can see why Cube would feel that way. He deserves credit for what he has accomplished with that record, especially when we take into account that Hit 'Em Up was inspired by No Vaseline. Cause Pac and the
I ain't gonna lie, icecube. I feel you come from, you see that, like, yeah. You need the props on that shit, but ain't nobody got it. 2026. Everybody still say hit 'em up. I ain't gonna lie to you, twin. We still got them saying hit 'em up. We still saying the Biggie line.
Laws learn from the OGs. KRS-One's The Bridge Is Over, MC Light's 10% Diss, Cube's No Vaseline, Kool Mo D and LL Cool J's back and forth, he learned from all the legends. He actually showed love to them on the song Old School, which is on the Me Against the World album released in 1995. I don't take Cube's comments as hating, even though a lot of Pac fans are upset with some of the remarks he made over the years. Pac never seems to get any praise from Cube. But deep down, I'm pretty sure that Cube had and still has a lot of love for Pac. And they definitely would have squashed the beef if Pac had survived the
Man, that motherfucker look like Tupac. I don't know what y'all talking about. That motherfucker look like Tupac a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, the little kid right there. Maybe I'm tripping.
shooting in 1996.
Pac was the man. He was cool. Just one of those cool dudes. I know people know his persona.
Sure, yeah.
He was, just one of those cool dudes. I miss Pac. I miss him.
Do you really, though? Alright, that's the internet. Internet chat. Oh, we got. Oh, yeah, we don't see no Tupac this. I might do that for another stream. Might do that for another stream. Y'all want to do Dr. Dre? I know we didn't finish last time. Or y'all want to do the Hit 'Em Up? Biggie this. Easy Talk. Then he ain't put Easy in there too. Yo, I just thought about it. He ain't put Easy in there too. We do Dr. Dre punk ass.
T, who's originally from Texas. The Bloods on the label knew that Dre's team was not from the West. Due to the East-West feud, they kept an eye on Dre's homies. They treated them like outsiders,
What's up, brother? John,
didn't trust them, even though all they wanted to do was make music. After Suge's infamous speech at the 95 Source Awards, which reignited the East-West hip-hop conflicts, the artists on both labels, Suge Knight's Death Row Records and Puff Daddy's Bad Boy Entertainment, got dragged into a bloody war where several people lost their lives. On September 23rd, 1995, Suge's friend and fellow Mob Piru member Big Jake, who was his security at the time, was shot and killed allegedly by Puffy's bodyguard Anthony Wolf Jones. And because of that, the Bloods on Death Row wanted to go to war with him. I covered this in my documentary for the Tupac shooting in Las Vegas. Make sure to check it out. It's called The Reason Why Puff Daddy Killed Tupac. So Death Row and Bad Boy were now beefing. But not everyone wanted to get involved, like Dre and his team for example. They thought it would be bad for business, and overall thought that it was pointless. Suge's homies, however, who were all Mob Piru members and made up the majority on Death Row, wanted retaliation. The Crips didn't want to get involved at first, but they got dragged into it later on. Dre knew that Tupac had a problem with a lot of the people on the East Coast, especially with Puffy and Bad Boy. He also knew that he was a hothead, and that it would escalate even further with him joining the label.
I'm gonna stop it right here. Stop it right here. What's the one? What's name with Napoleon? He all black, bro. Okay, artist. Okay, we found Napoleon. He said I confronted Snoop Dogg days out Tupac death and told him how Tupac really felt about. Oh yeah, oh juicy shit, yo, right here. That's what I want to know right here. Yeah, what will Snoop Dogg get? Yeah, chat. Let's do it. That's what I want to know right here. Shout out my boy.
So after the Vegas incident, y'all went back to LA and Suge called a meeting. And if I'm not mistaken, you called out Snoop in that meeting, right?
Yeah, so when we went back to LA, Suge called a meeting with everybody on Death Row. He had a lot. He always was calling meetings, but I think this might have been the first time that I seen every single artist, producer, anybody that was affiliated with Death Row was there, and for some strange reason, after everybody talked, Suge looked at me and he was like, "And now Moo gotta say something." And the first thing I said, Snoop. It's kind of messed up that now everybody, showing Pac love, but Pac was hurt. What happened. What happened in New York, Snoop and this and that, and Snoop replied. He was like, I'm like Martin Luther King. Pac was more like Malcolm X, and I'm more, diplomatic. Pac was more like, you know what I mean, the warrior and stuff like that. And I remember after, Suge came up to me, he's like, you did good, but you're never supposed to let people know how you feel. But of course, at a time like that, Pac just died. We emotional. You know what I mean? And everybody talking, so it was one of them things that I sometimes wonder, like, did Suge try to, because he knew how, some of the things that, was said about Snoop, that Pac felt about him. And out of all the outlaws, he knew that I'm the one that's not going to be afraid to say it in front of Snoop. So he probably played on that and wanted Snoop to hear it, you know what I mean?
What is some of the other stuff that happened in that?
I see it.
Outside of that?
A bunch of people, talked about, I really don't recall because we were so zoned out. And we were so zoned out where I'm like, why are we having a meeting? Pac died and we having a meeting? Like, I thought that was the weirdest stuff ever. You know what I mean? Like, Pac he just died, and what the hell we in a meeting for? Like, what's that gonna do? You know what I mean? So I was zoned out. We were just ready to get out of the meeting, and we was recording though. I think one of the ways that we was able to deal with what we was dealing with, because Suge just gave us free reign to just do how many songs we want. He's like, y'all want to go in the studio, just do whatever y'all want. So every day, instead of just sitting back mourning and drinking, sitting at home, we would go to the studio and just write and do songs. You know what I mean?
Right. So after Tupac got killed in Vegas, y'all went back to LA, and me reading your book, you said that it was a whole lot of shootings and retaliation going on in LA after Tupac got killed?
In Compton. After Pac got killed, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it probably was at least 10 people that got shot. If I'm not mistaken, 7 to 10 people got shot, a few people died. I think the police had to, they just had to do like a gang sweep where they just start raiding everybody's homes in Compton, and that's what stopped it, kicking everybody's doors and locking people up, taking guns off the street. But it was a little war between the people in Compton, from Suge Hood and the Southside Crips and the Ma Paru and other gangs. It was just it was a war that was going on, And I remember, for example, I remember Nutso, Keisha Cole's brother, the homie Nutso.
Mm-hmm.
I remember he drove down in Oakland with 3-4 dudes, and they all had AK-47s in the trunk, heading to Compton to drop them off. So it was real. And then next thing you know, it was crazy.
Damn,
and you said that
dread
for real, like a $10,000 bounty on the Southside Crips.
People say that. I don't recall that it was a bounty. The Ma Paru, like Suge and them Hood, they and it's known.
You said the real me?
It's known that Suge Hood and other Bloods in Compton, they just wanted, retribution for Pac. So it was known that it was shootings between Ma Paru, Southside Crips. That was known. I don't think nobody was waiting to get no money paid. I think they were just, you know what I mean? It just went to a full-fledged war, and the police really had to come in hard, start kicking all gang affiliate doors down, anybody that has some cases, and just round them up. And that's what stopped the killing.
The incident where Fatal got in the incident in New Jersey after Tupac passed away, give me the backstory behind that.
So some dudes jumped Fatal. You know what I mean? 10, 15 dudes jumped him. He got into a fight. The dude jumped him. And, Gaddafi and Fatal, they grew up with each other. They from the same hood, from the same neighborhood, and from the same block. So I'm sitting in my grandmother's house, and Gaddafi come. He pulled up with 2 homegirls from his neighborhood. They driving. He came to my grandmother's house. And he's like, come with me. So I come in the car, and he was like, you strapped? I'm like, no, I don't have nothing. He's like, I need you to come with me. I said, where you going? He's like, the dudes that jumped Fatal, I know where they at, and I'm going to go handle that. So I said, come on, let's go. So we went. It's in Newark somewhere, you know what I mean? He jumped out, the girls parked the car, we jumped out, I got out with him. A bunch of dudes standing on the block, and Gaddafi just started letting off. Doom, 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 doom. And then walk, because he's smooth, calm dude. Like, you know how Gaddafi is, never did it, and just walked back to the car like it's normal, and we took off, you know what I mean? But he did that because of the love he had for Fatal. He didn't even tell Fatal he was doing it. He just, and also, after the death of Pac, Gaddafi, and you got to remember, Pac just had died a month ago, before that. So everybody's state of mind was different. You know what I mean? And Gaddafi, out of all of the outlaws, out of all of us, he was the one that was affected the most.
Oh, there we go. Tupac trying to get Tupac to fight Snoop. Okay, I've been here. Should say they did fight. We gonna see what he say. Check. So they did fight for that shit.
The incident where you and the Outlaws almost got in a fight with Snoop Dogg and Dogg Pound. Give me the backstory behind that incident.
Well, you know what happened. Like a lot of people, I always like to make this clear. My mindset now is not the way it was back in the day. You know what I mean? Back in the day, I was young, ignorant, and I loved trouble. You know what I mean? I just loved making problems. I wasn't afraid to fight. I wasn't afraid to pull out my gun, wherever you want to take it, I was ready to take it. So we was in the studio. They had a small studio where they call it Whack Room, where sometimes producers go, you know what I mean, and do beats. So we was in the Whack Room, and Corrupt had a homie, I think his name's Sly Capone, if I'm not mistaken. Slip Capone and another dude named, it was two dudes from Hawthorne, and it was Speedy, it was myself, and it was Castro. And we was freestyling, and the dude Slip Capone, he might have said something in his freestyle that I didn't like, and it wasn't a cigarette, cause but I was smoking. You remember them beaties? And I remember he said something in his freestyle I didn't like, and something just said, "Man, put the cigarette on his face." I was like, "Man, I you know what I mean?" Because I wasn't ready to come back probably with the skills, so I just said, "You know what? I'm just gonna put the cigarette on his face." And I just grabbed him, and I tried, and he grabbed my hand, and I caught him off guard. He's like, "What the heck?" We in here freestyling, we chilling, we kicking, because we met him a few times before that. And like Speedy said, you know what I mean? I went out in the hallway, and I told him to come out, let's fight, whatever. And somebody got Pac at that particular time, and Snoop came down the hall. And I knew that it was tension boiling up between our camp and their camp. So once again, I was a hothead, a young dude. I figured just take advantage of stuff that we know is boiling up. Now let's just get it out the way. So when Speedy said that, I was like, Edie gonna fight Daz, Fatal gonna fight Corrupt, Pac gonna fight Snoop, this and that, and it de-escalated. It didn't, you know what I mean? But I do remember Pac crazy, because I remember when it was over, Pac grabbed me, he's like, "Moo, you crazy," laughing like. You know what I mean? He wasn't upset like, "Moo, what's wrong with you? You trying to tell me to fight Snoop?"
What's up, OG?
So I recall that you got to understand, if you're a young, wild dude and you got a general, a big brother like Pac, and he also with the crazy stuff, you know what I mean? I'm surprised we survived as long as we did.
If y'all know this one,
you know what I mean? That there wasn't no casualties sooner, because we was really off the chain back in the day. You know, I just recall that, at the beginning, it felt like family. I don't know where it went wrong, because we also was young kids, so I'm sure that there was things that Pac and Suge kept away from us. You know what I mean? So I just remember that we was all cool. We would go in this studio, everybody in this studio. We would chill in Snoop's studio. Every Saturday, pretty much, we'd go to Snoop Dogg house, and we used to play basketball, the Outlaws against the Dog Pound. We was like family, you know what I mean? Then I just recall that they stopped coming in our studio sessions, and we just stopped. We just knew not to go in theirs. You know what I mean? So it wasn't no tension where, people mean mugging each other in the halls, but we just started drifting away from each other as being one family, and it is what it was. It just, it wasn't nothing back then, because at the end of the day, Pac was the star of Death Row. Mm-hmm. He was a star. He was the one making all the hits and bringing all the attention to Death Row. So the studio at Pac, everybody was coming in there anyway. So if there's a new celebrity that come from out of town, the first thing they want, when they come to Death Row, they want to hang with Pac. You know what I mean? They're going to be in the studio session with Pac. So, but I definitely, I remember when it started, we was going our separate ways, really.
Tupac, he had another incident with Snoop and the Dog Pound in Cabo, right?
He had an incident with, and he also had an incident with Lil C Style.
Tell me about that.
And this is why we stopped going to Snoop house, playing basketball, because we used to go every Saturday, and while we were playing basketball, Lil C Style, he the homie though. Shout out to C Style, Big C Style the homie, but Lil C Style and Big C Style, these was real gang members that was around Snoop. They wasn't really rappers. They was really the G's that was holding Snoop down. And I guess because of basketball, it get physical. You know what I mean? And it got physical between, not in a fighting standpoint, but it got to, one of them was going up to grab the rebound, either Lil C Style, Pac, and it was words, like heated words, you know what I mean? Where it was to the point that I thought it was probably going to go down, And Pac, he was mouthing off with Pac, Pac was mouthing off to him. And then they homies looking at us and we looking at them. We was outnumbered though. We was outnumbered because we was at Snoop House. And he probably had half of Long Beach there. And it was just us, the Outlaws, Mo Preem. I don't even think Big Psych was there. You know?
Mm.
And then the second incident or the third incident that you mentioned at Cabo, I remember Pac coming home telling us about that incident. And like I said, my mindset back then is that I was the pit bull. So when Pac told me got into it with Corrupt, even though I love Corrupt, that's a real good dude, the homie. You know what I mean? I think you probably read a part in my book where I mentioned how I went to jail for Corrupt when he came to visit me in Jersey. And the police caught him with all that weed, and I said that's my weed because I didn't want him to go to jail. But still, Pac was Pac, and that's my brother. And so when he telling me he got into it with the Dog Pound, I remember asking Pac, like, bro, we should, okay, you want us to beat these dudes up? Like, what do you want us to do? You know what I mean? So Pac mentioned that he got into it with Corrupt, and I don't know what it was over. And he asked Corrupt, let's go upstairs and fight. And Nate Dogg stood up. You got to remember, Nate Dogg was the right out of the crew. Even though he was an R&B singer, but Nate Dogg, he wasn't no punk. So Nate Dogg got up and you know, I seen one interview where I believe Corrupt said it was Daz. It wasn't Daz. It was Nate Dogg from what Pac told us. You know, Pac was like, he was in a room with only the Dog Pound, Nate Dogg, Corrupt, Daz, and them. But when Nate Dogg got up and start mouthing off and Pac started arguing with him, then Pac walked out. Because he felt like, what if they, you know what I mean? It could have got ugly then, but these things happen because you had a record label full of wild people. We had who was the adult to tell us to chill? We had no grown up saying, you know what, chill out, stop doing this and stop doing that. It was a hostile environment.
Right. So what did Nate Dogg say when Tupac
called
him?
What did he say?
I don't recall, but I know Pac just said that Nate Dogg is the one that got up and started mouthing off.
Damn, I want to know what the fuck he said. I want to know what the fuck he said now. Okay, here you go. We got another one. Tupac didn't want to go to Las Vegas with Suge. See, everybody been saying the same thing. Even the Tupac cousin we did last live. Recipe Nate Dogg. I fuck with Nate Dogg though.
How do you personally feel about the Vegas incident?
Hey, man,
do you feel like Tupac was moving wrong in Vegas that night he got shot?
You know what, man? When it's your time to go, it's your time to go. God gonna, he's gonna set it up where you can't, no one can escape death. You know what I mean? I think, but I do believe if Pac shouldn't have been the one to fight Orlando Anderson. You know what I mean? I do think that, especially you gotta understand, Pac is the star of the label. You know what I mean? That's the star of the label, and you gotta understand is that you gotta know how to differentiate between streets and running a record label. And the goal is to keep Pac out of trouble, keep Pac out of harm's way. You know what I mean? So, but being Pac, because he loyal to Suge, and he loyal to, you know what I mean, to what Trey and them did, because the word on the streets, when they tried to snatch that chain from Trey, it wasn't because it was Bloods and Crips. Words was that it was a bounty on that chain. So Pac look at it like,
so we know
they
this
tried to snatch the chain from Trey.
Hip Hop University say it was bounties. It was bounties on the chain, so that's fast. Fact check.
Trade, which they didn't get, Pac look at it like, but it was because of me. You know what I mean? So when Pac fought Orlando Anderson, I guess Pac was trying to show, okay, I'm all in this with y'all. Words is on the street is that Puffy tried to pay somebody to bring the chain. It happened to Trey because of me. Puffy. It had nothing to do with Bloods and Crips, even though you might hear people say, well, he got involved in gang politics. You know what I mean? I look at it like Pac being loyal. But at the same time, they should have kept him away from that. But then again, to be honest, bro, you got to understand, man, I don't know, nobody can control Pac. At that particular time, he didn't have no one, that was the problem. And at that time, Big Psych wasn't around. Big Psych, he had a way with Pac where, Pac loved him and respected him, and Big Psych was around for a long time. You know what I mean? So I'm sure Big Psych was around, and we can't even say that because everything happened for a reason, bro. You know what I mean? But he probably would have moved different if Big Psych was around. But once again, Pac was uncontrollable. At the end of the day, when his mind is made up to do something, he gonna do it. And it's not like Trey said, hey, Pac, go do something like to that dude. From what I heard, Trey was saying it to someone else, and Pac overheard him. Even though everybody said he whispered to Pac. And Big Psych was even though he was a reputable gang member, from, IVC, Inglewood, but he was also wise. He was the type of person that he would try to de-escalate the problem instead of letting it go there. You know what I mean? So when he was always in Pac ear, he was always trying to be the wise, one from the bunch. Like when he told me, like, you never know whose sister you disrespecting here in LA can be this, so be careful, this and that. He had that mentality. You know what I mean? So, but unfortunately, when Pac heard, Trey, mention it to one of Trey homies, Pac just took off. No one expected it.
Why wasn't Big Syke around Tupac at the end of Tupac's life?
You know what happened? It was just like
we getting out the goose shit. Yeah.
Even though Big Syke and Pac, it was still love there, but I think it was just a little bit of things where Big Syke probably felt he had to step back for a little bit, because you gotta understand, Death Row was the environment, the Bloods like that Suge had around him, Trey, Buntry, Heron, these were some crazy dudes that was active. You know what I mean? So I don't know if Syke probably felt, even though he was good, they never disrespected Syke. They all love Syke. I really can't really recall why he stopped coming around at the end, but he probably felt like that, maybe he thought that something probably was gonna pop off. Let me just step back for a little bit so I don't mess anything up for Pac or whatever. You know what I mean?
Is it true that Big Syke tried to get a record deal with Suge Knight behind Tupac back?
Ooh. I heard that before. You know what I mean? I don't think it really was that. You know what I mean? I don't really think it was that. To be honest, from what I really thought, what it came down to be, I think, Pac, Big Syke was on the payroll, for example. Mm-hmm. He was on a payroll not as an artist, but also like security for Pac. Big Syke is the one who brought this guy from Schoolyard Crits, Bogart. So it was Big Syke and it was Bogart, and they was the ones.
If y'all new to the channel, please drop me a like and subscribe. I would do appreciate that.
That was the closest to Pac, and I believe it wasn't a record deal, but I believe Big Syke went to Suge, was like, I need more money, this and that, and he didn't want to come to Pac with it. You know what I mean? And be like, yo, break me off. So he feel like I'll leave Pac out of it. Me knowing Big Syke and know mentality of Big Syke, Syke ain't no cut. He's not a snake. You know what I mean? One thing about Big Syke, this dude was a loyal dude. He was a straight dude. He's not a type of person that would try to go and do anything behind Pac back. But I guess it looked bad that, Pac probably was like, why you ain't come to me? You know what I mean? Even though Syke probably was like, I don't want to make, I'm going to go to the person who's paying. Death Row's is paying. I'm a grown man. I'm going to go to this guy. But I guess it kind of looked back. So I believe Syke at that particular time wanted to sit back for a little bit. You know what I mean? But the love was all, Pac loved Syke, vice versa.
Looking back at that night in Vegas, what do you personally think Tupac and Suge Knight should have did after they jumped on a Southside Crip?
Be prepared, because the mentality of, I guess maybe because they was in Vegas and it wasn't Los Angeles, but the mentality of how it works in LA, me coming from New Jersey and living in LA for that small amount of time, at that particular time, I knew that every time there's an incident with a gang member and an active gang member, they always gonna retaliate, or at least try to retaliate. But maybe because it was in Vegas, you know what I mean? They not in Compton, they not in LA. Maybe they didn't think that they was gonna retaliate that soon. So as I say, when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. But maybe they probably felt comfortable because it's on the Las Vegas Strip. Who think that on the Las Vegas Strip with everybody around and you see pedestrians everywhere, who gonna do a drive-by shooting? So I think it made them comfortable.
In your book, you said that Tupac was actually supposed to go to Atlanta instead of Las Vegas.
Yes, he was supposed to go to Atlanta. It was some, to handle like a situation, a family feud that he wanted to go.
So
and speak to a relative,
so y'all saying
and squash the beef, but Suge kept convincing him like, let's go to Vegas, and eventually he changed his mind and went to Vegas.
Right, so Tupac didn't even want to go to Vegas. Suge Knight just kept asking him to go to Vegas.
He convinced him to go. I know for a fact.
Fat chick. Everybody been saying it. Cousin, everybody been saying it. Should.
He was ready to go to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then with the incident, in New York and with Snoop, he didn't want to be in Vegas. You know what I mean?
What did Tupac tell you about the Atlanta trip?
Well, there was a relative, you know, that of Pac that did something, and Pac felt like he needed to go confront him himself because to the point that he was. I remember him telling me exactly, "Mo, I don't want you to go because I don't want to make he thought it was gonna get out of hand. So he's like, because it's gonna be too sensitive, so I'm gonna go, Castro gonna go, the relatives, everybody that's related. You know what I mean? It was a family situation that he had to be there and handle it.
Is it true that one of Tupac family members sold some of his guns for drugs? Or
bro, you know
like
everything, bro.
Damn.
I be trying to be diplomatic and go around it. It was something
man,
like.
I mean, this what I do, yo.
Yeah, bro. It was something like that. You know what I mean? So that's why Pac.
Yeah, appreciate you joining, Emmy. Ooh, I like this one. Somebody he said Biggie Small bro. Wow. I'm bad. I'm a bad person for saying this shit.
In your book, man, you went into detail about Biggie coming out to L.A. after Tupac passed away and how Biggie did an interview on the Wake Up Show. And, Biggie was asked about, Tupac saying that Biggie stole his style, how he felt about, Tupac dying. And Biggie, he actually rapped the Long Kiss Goodnight song or whatever while he was doing an interview for the Wake Up Show. Just give me a detailed account of that interview that Biggie did on the Wake Up Show.
I think the people that was listening to that interview who loved Pac, they felt Biggie was arrogant. Mm-hmm. And they felt like he was showing a lack of respect towards Pac, who just died, a few months ago. You know what I mean? Because West Coast loved Pac. No matter what, he lived in New York, but, his young adult life ages was raised in California, Oakland, and L.A. You know what I mean? He embraced the people embraced him. So when Biggie was on the radio, they asked him about the death of Pac, and he was like, I got my own problems. I'm not worried. Like, it was more like the people took it as if he was being disrespectful and arrogant. You know what I mean? When they asked him about, and then when he freestyled the song Long Kiss Goodnight or something like that, where he was like, I ain't mad at you. Like, bro, Pac is dead. You know what I mean? The whole time Pac was alive, you don't say nothing back. You know what I mean? He never said nothing back when Pac was alive. But when Pac died, he
you think
get on the
so?
air,
You think so, James?
and people look at it like now all of a sudden you dissing a person who's not alive, and you know what I mean? So, people, he's not allowed to defend himself. But you had the chance when Pac was alive. He could have done it while he was alive. And I think people would have just said, that's respectful as a man. You know what I mean? But when Pac died, he did it. It just rubbed people the wrong way in California at that particular time. And even Sway, whoever was on the radio at that time, they was getting death threats. They was calling the radio.
Oh, wow.
They was not the DJ. They was calling the radio threatening Biggie, saying he need to leave L.A. One thing about West Coast, you get a death threat, you got to take it serious. You know what I mean? So I think it was a move that, from looking at interviews and stuff like that, it seemed like Biggie was a wise person. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, no.
But when he did something like that, I think...
I see you about to follow. He wasn't no goddamn... That nigga, he got manipulated by Diddy. He ain't no goddamn wild person. Stop the motherfucking cap.
Stop the cap.
Stop the motherfucking cap right there. Hell nah. We gonna laugh at this shit. Hell nah, twin. That boy say he was a wise man. Hell no, you wasn't wise. Fuck that.
He was blinded by something. You know what I mean? I think he... You know what I mean? Coming out, I'm going back to Cali. Like, all these things seemed like he was just rubbing it in Pac's face.
Yeah,
when Pac was alive, you didn't come to Cali, but now he's dead. A song on the song, I'm going back to Cali. And then you saying, I
agree.
I ain't, like, dissing. It was clear that he dissed Pac in that song. You know what I mean? Then come to the West Coast and say it on the radio. I think he took it for granted. I think he didn't realize how serious it was. You know what I mean? He said something like, put you in, like, bury or whatever, ain't mad at you. Like, it was clear he was dissing Pac. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was a dead giveaway when he said, I ain't
so I think people look at it like, you know what I mean? I remember at that particular time, we was angry.
I ain't gonna lie, that nigga got that shit still on my mind. That nigga said that Biggie was wise, but he really about to pick me the fuck off. I ain't gonna count to him. Like, bitch, ain't no damn way. That nigga went wise. And they couldn't even see straight.
You know, as a youngster at that time, I just said when he was alive, he was quiet. You know what I mean? But you don't wait till a man die. Like you just gotta take that to your grave. You gotta say, you know what, I had my chance to diss him back, or I had my chance, but now he's dead. I have nothing, you know, I can't. You know, just some morals, some ethics that comes with it, you know what I mean? But it seemed like he did the opposite. He waited till Pac to die and then diss him, you know what I mean? Then come to LA, say it on the radio, and people didn't take lightly to it. You know?
And people was calling up to the radio station telling him like, yo, if you don't leave LA, you got a few days to live.
Yeah, he was getting death threats. In LA, you gotta take these threats serious. You know what I mean?
And the day before Biggie got killed, he was at the Soul Train Awards and he was getting booed at the Soul Train Awards.
Yeah, I heard he got booed. So it was showing you that you're not welcome on the West Coast. So that's why I said, you know, from it seemed like before I used to look at Biggie and say he's a wise young man for his age, a wise person.
You say wise one more goddamn time. Fuck.
But for some reason we went to LA. If you get booed in LA, you know what I mean? Don't get on the radio and diss Pac after. You got to be like, you know what? Let me win this love back. But
that was a dumb
ass sad how he moved.
Diddy probably made him do that.
Now
shit.
Looking back at it, of course we lost Pac, we lost Biggie.
Look, the way you said that wasn't no wise move to do. So how he wise? You know that wasn't no wise move to do.
You know what I mean? They both had mothers. They both, you know, well, Biggie had kids. It's sad, you know what I mean? But at that particular time, he brought it on himself, I would say, because he wasn't being wise coming back to LA. It's like
you said, what? How about I start that motherfucker then? What you gonna do? Nah. Get your dumb ass out of here. We gonna get your dumb ass out of here. They come here and tell me what the fuck to do. You can go watch that shit on your own, buddy. Get your ass out of here. My bad, y'all. I'm about to play. I'm gonna get this little lame out of here. Nigga say go play. Nigga, go look up the video and play your goddamn self. You don't like me talking, nigga. I gotta do that shit. The fuck. Don't get cussed out today, bro. I'm one of the ones.
Agonizing people. You know what I mean? He was agonizing people that really love Pac. You know? And you had people from some affiliated gang hood that was connected to Pac. And they feel like he was agonizing them and just, you know, pouring fuel on the fire when he should have, you know, like did the opposite. Man. But what's written is written, man.
Right. And you said in your book that the night
that nigga, you tell he ain't got no dad. You tell he ain't got no father figure in his life. That's why he just act like that. That boy got daddy issues. It's okay, brother. You gonna be alright. Hold on now, chat. Y'all talking fast as fuck. Hold on. I gotta get that lame nigga out of here. I ain't never seen this nigga videos though. He said what? Biggie Small Mix that when Biggie.
One of my followers wanted me to ask you about my interview with Chopper and how Chopper said that Diddy was jealous of Pac and you couldn't say Pac's name around him. You couldn't play his music around him. How you feel about that?
Well, you know, I think I seen an interview. It might have been one of his bodyguard, Gene Dale or somebody like that, when they said that like Puff was kind of like he wanted to be Pac, and to a degree. They said like he was fascinated by Pac. They said like if you look at his dressing style, like I remember Gene Dale, you know, he brought it to the attention. I was like, wait a minute, that's crazy. The same woman, you know, the woman that Pac knew. I don't want to go into details and that type of stuff because of the religion, of course, but he was after the same people Pac was at. After he was trying to dress like him, you know, jokers wasn't really wearing suits and stuff. Like they was wearing shiny suits with Vaseline and stuff on it, but they wasn't wearing like suits, button-up suits and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Until Pac started doing that, making it look, you know, more presentable, being more presentable. But then again, you couldn't play Biggie or bad boy music around us. You understand? Like, that's just how it goes. So it's not something that you can be mad at, because
For real.
you in my hood in Irvington back in the day, in LA around the homies, you couldn't play no bad boy or Biggie music around us either. You know, so it was like, so I kind of get that point, because at one particular time it was beef. You know, it was beef.
So y'all was like that too then. If anybody mentioned Big name in front of y'all wasn't feeling it.
Bro, they might get beat up. That's how we was back then. Like, you coming around, you couldn't play no bad boy around us. I remember whenever I used to go back home around my neighborhood, and if we hit somebody from on a block or whatever playing anything from bad boy, we would break their CDs. They couldn't play that stuff around us. You understand?
Break the CDs.
It would just it just came with the territory. So I'm sure the same thing with them. You know what I mean? I'm sure the same thing when it was really an East Coast West Coast beef. I don't think people from their crew just going to be riding around bumping Pac if they because it's almost like we look at it like it was disloyal. I never bought a Biggie record a day in my life. You know, because of it. Just that's how it was. When it comes on, we turn the channel off. We change the channel when, you know what I mean?
Did y'all have any kind of situation back then where somebody brought up Big name around y'all?
I don't think nobody openly said it, because this was a time where I think people kind of know it can come with anything. You know what I mean? So I can't recall.
You said it was real?
Anything like that.
No
I think because
bad boy?
people knew it was real.
Damn.
Because they look at it like, the people that was around us, they look at it like Pac got killed, Biggie got killed. They probably look at it like it was a line that they couldn't draw. At the time, you know, after years went by, you started, you know, loosen up with that thing. As years went by, you started to become more, I guess you get a little older, more mature. So you might hear somebody that you know playing Biggie, and you just like, you know, it's nothing. But at the beginning when Pac died, that was almost like fighting words. Like that it was almost like an insult if you come around us playing Biggie.
When Big died, do you remember that day? Like, how was that like from your point of view? Like when Big died, how did you find out?
I didn't think it was. I didn't even think it was true at first when we heard Biggie got killed. I don't think it was at first. I because it wasn't really it wasn't on internet and nothing like that. You can go search. So at first I thought it was a rumor, but I do recall a couple hours later it was on the news. It was kind of shocking. It was kind of shocking, but at that time, you got to understand the mindset at that time, and to clarify it now, we grow up, we get mature, we don't think of it at that time, but at that time, it was just like, that comes with the territory. You understand? Because I was listening to some of the stuff he was saying on the radio, so I was thinking he was bold, and it was strange that he was moving that way in LA. You understand? So it was kind of like something that we knew after Pac died, something big was going to happen, you know, because emotions was around, people was hot, you know, it was an East Coast, West Coast beef between certain rappers and certain crews, you know what I mean? So eventually, we know with the hood mentality, money, something going to happen eventually. It was almost like, man, it was arrogance, it seemed like at that time, like these guys are, you know, on the radio, taking shots at Pac. It seemed like a little arrogant, you know, so time. When that happened to him, naturally, you got to understand, naturally, and I like to clarify this so the people don't, you know, take anything out of context. And of course, now I don't think this way. But back then, we was like, okay, it's a draw now. You know, that's how it was back then. And because we felt like they was taking shots at Pac and stuff like that. But of course, because you asked me how I felt back then, I'm telling you my mindset back then that I was kind of, like, okay. You know what I mean? They got somebody from us, we got somebody from their side. Not we. I don't know, because everybody going to jail with these RICO's cases. So let me clarify that up. Not we. You know what I'm talking? Meaning that, you know, he died, you know, Pac got killed, and he got killed, so we thought that it was just like somebody from the East Coast, somebody from the West Coast, now it's a draw. You know, because jokers be getting on these podcasts catching RICO cases. So you got to be very careful what you say. Mm-hmm. I was in a hotel when Biggie got killed. I was home and tucked away, bro.
Yo, right, appreciate you joining the channel. Oh, shit, that's it. Damn, they got so many interviews. I'll probably do one more. Ooh, he said, Pauline, I'm feeling betrayed by Tupac fiance partner. No. Keisha Cole and Ray J. That's what they got going on. Charles White gonna piss me off. I ain't about to look at Charles White. I know he gonna piss me the fuck off. Say he was brain dead.
Don't mind, can you tell me where you were and how you found out when Suge and Tupac were shot, and then obviously later when Tupac passed away?
I don't know who the fuck she is anyway. Virginia Slim? Who the fuck is Virginia Slim? I don't even know who it is. We just clicked on her. Tell y'all know who she is. I don't even know who she is. I gotta do Netbone because everybody been telling me to do Netbone last. I think I'm gonna do that later on next stream. Next stream I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do an interview with Netbone. Make sure y'all follow me on TikTok because TikTok I'm gonna do Machiavelli versus All Eyes on Me. We're gonna play song by song. We're gonna rate it 1 to 10. Which one y'all favorite one? TikTok. Make sure y'all follow me on TikTok, Baby Jody 7413. Make sure y'all follow me. We're gonna do 2 albums compared. We're gonna do our own little mini listen party because I never listened to the whole albums or both albums, so it'll be my first time listening to song for song. So y'all make sure y'all follow me on TikTok. And where the fuck is this shit at? Oh damn, fucked up. Yeah, we're gonna do that. Then we're gonna have Machiavelli Day Friday. So y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna do that shit on TikTok. Machiavelli Day. I might do 50 Cent tonight. Next chat. I might do it while 50 Cent Ja Rule. But I do appreciate everybody coming through, rocking with me. Said learn what a gangster